Hey guys, this is a practice video for The Greatest Show. This is the main theme from The Greatest Showman movie musical, and this is arranged by Paul Murtha. So obviously we're working on the flute part today. And the reason I'm making this video is because my students who've made the Conroe ISD 6th grade honor band are using this for their January 2024 concert. And I wanted to make sure they had a good resource to practice along with, because this one's really tricky with rhythm. So we're gonna go on a deep dive into a couple different things in here. Even if you're not in the Conroe ISD 6th grade honor band, you can definitely use this as a good practice buddy as you're learning it for your own band. So if you did make CISD 6th grade honor band, congratulations. It really is a big deal to be selected for it. Super proud of you all. Also make sure you say hi to my 3 students who won spots this year, Jordan, Riley, and Olivia. You'll definitely see them there. And so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to start with is talking about some tricky rhythm. So the first 4 phrases are actually exactly the same. And then this is pretty easy too. And where it starts to get tricky is right here at measure 31. So we've got 3 similar phrases. The first is 31 to 32, then 33 to 34, and the third one is 35 through 36. So they're similar in that they all start with a quarter note rest. And that's going to be really important for placing your rhythm in here. The other thing that's similar is the notes. They start with D's, then C's, then B flats, and A's. So here we've got D, C's, B flats, A, D, C's, B flats, and A. But what's different is what happens after the rest. So this one has a quarter note and then goes on to 8th note. So 2, 3, and 4. This one has all 8th notes. So 2 and 3 and 4 and then this one is kind of a hybrid of both of them. So we've got the quarter note, so beat 2, and then we've got 8th notes, just like in the second one. So that's 3 and 4 and. So you might want to, copy these counts into your own music so that you can make sure you're counting really carefully as you're going through this section. All right, so that's the first thing. And then I'm just going to write in a few other places where just in working with my students, we have found it's maybe not moving exactly how you think it's going to move, or it might be moving differently than the actual soundtrack recording goes. There's different verses, and so they have different words, and so sometimes the rhythm changes based on what verse they're on, using whatever words. So the first place is here, 3, 4, and then making sure we get this pickup, and 3, 4, and. Then we move over. Here's another one with a pickup, and 3. And then this one does not have a pickup. So you got to make sure you start that one right on beat 3. Okay, then we move down here. This is a dotted quarter note, 3 and 4 and again, right on beat 3. And then the last one that we were finding tricky was down here. And this is actually the same as what we had up here, where we've got just starting right on beat 3 for that one. Okay, so maybe if you write those in, that'll be helpful for you as you're working out some of this rhythm. The last thing I want to talk about in regards to rhythm is we have 24 ties in this piece. That's a lot, like probably more than you've ever had in any other piece of music so far. And so with that many, you just have to make sure you're really seeing all of them so that you can account for all of them. All right, so some of them are easy and some of them are not easy. The easy ones are in this first phrase that we have, 4 times, except for we've got some repeats. So it's actually more than 4 times. And I'm going to write it over here because it's easier to see. We tie from 1, 2, and we tie to 3. And so all you have to do is make sure you got 1, 2, 3, and then you're like right off on beat 3 there. Here, same thing, except for there's some directions. It says stomp feet, which means you have rest, rest, and then this little X that looks like a quarter note. So that's the stomp. And same thing over here where you've got, stomping on, so that you rest on beat 1, then you stomp on beats 2 and 3, and you rest on beat 4. But yeah, so here's that tie. And then same thing here, always tying to 3 on those. All right, now let's mark in the rest of them. Some of them, are just like held out to a note. This one is also held out to a note, but it goes over to the next line. Some of them are under slurs like this because you end up resolving to another note after it. There's so many, and they act in different ways. So you have to make sure you're just allotting for each of them. And then what is the best way to learn the ties? Probably the easiest way is to actually not do them, which sounds kind of funny. But if you start off, and I'm just going to use this as an example, if you start off by tonguing all of the tied notes, that helps you create the space for them. And make sure you're getting all the beats in the measure. So for instance, without the ties, you would tongue this ta, 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 like that. And then after you play that a couple times, then you can start putting the ties back in. Ta, 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 like that. Okay, got one more tie here, and then this is the last tie, and I think I got them all. Hopefully I did. So go through, learn without ties, and then you can start putting them back in. And if you keep messing up at the same place, no worries. Keep that tie out until you feel like you can, really nail it without the tie, and then you can add it back in. Same with the slurring around the ties. If the slurring is really tricky and you can only get one or the other, I'd go for the tie first, and then you can add the slur later. You don't have to learn all of the elements all at the same time. I'm a big proponent for layering on skills as you go to make sure that you're really nailing the one skill and then adding something on top of it. Okay, so that's it for all of our rhythm aspects. And now we're going to change colors to purple, and we're going to talk about our one trill here at measure 22. And trills are always fun, but first you have to know what am I trilling? So it's printed as D with the trill sign above it. So you're going to start on D, and then the trill rule is you trill up to the next letter name in the musical alphabet. So the next letter name above D is E. Then you want to check your key signature to see if it's flat, sharp, or natural. In this case, it's a flat. It's also a good idea to check earlier in the measure and see if there's an accidental, and there's not here. So we'll just go with this, E flat. So your trill here is going to be from D to E flat. And then, let's write that again, D to E flat. And you're going to use Triller 2 for that. So if you look here, here's the right hand keys of my flute. So these two little buttons here are the trill keys. And so I think the easiest way to remember which one is Triller 1 and which one is Triller 2 is Triller 1 is closest to you. So the top of the flute is this way. So this is the first one you get to if you're coming down the flute. So this is Triller 1, this is Triller 2, and we have assigned fingers for these. So here's how, the right hand fingers fit in, and you're gonna use your ring finger on Triller 2. So you finger high D in your left hand, you just finger the high D, and then while you're playing the high D, you're gonna wiggle this trill key, and that will make the D to E flat trill. All right, so that was quick and easy. And so the next thing we're gonna do is the performance roadmap. And this includes things like repeats, and then we've got a couple signs that you might not be familiar with, so we're gonna talk about those. So we've got this repeat here, and this one goes back just to the beginning because there's no other repeat sign facing the opposite direction. So we'll just go right back to the beginning on that one. This is the next, this is the next one. And here we do have an opposite facing repeat sign. So we're going to repeat back to there. So you play these measures, then you repeat them. Then you start at 5, you play these measures and you repeat them. And then we go just, through these next bunch of measures. We're going to ignore this and we're going to ignore this. And we're going to get all the way down here to where it looks like the music kind of broke off. And here's where we have the first set of instructions that we're actually going to pay attention to. So it says DS all coda. What does that mean? Well, DS is an abbreviation. So DS stands for dal segno. And if you speak Italian, you know that means the sign. All right, so what is this sign? Is it this one or is it this one? Well, I'm going to tell you, it is that one. So we this acts kind of like a portal. And I also like to color coordinate these two because we've got 2 of them in this piece. So the first one we're going to make turquoise. So you're going to go from this sign and then it'll kind of drop you off back here at measure 39. And then we're going to keep playing on, and now is when we follow this next one to the coda, and that's our sign that kind of looks like a bullseye. So let's choose a color for that. Let's go with yellow orange. So then we'll go here, and you play up to the sign. You don't play this measure. Like when you see the sign, that's when you jump to the coda. All right, so that tells you what to do. So we end up repeating this section only. We don't ever have to play this twice, and then we just jump straight there. All right, so now we're gonna play the piece. I'm setting my metronome at quarter note equals 120. It doesn't really say what our tempo is supposed to be. It says driving with swagger. So that kind of leaves it a little open, but we're gonna swagger along at 120 here today. If this is too fast for you as you're learning the rhythm, you can always do the playback at 75%. And so that'll be a little bit slower for you. And then if it's too slow for you at 120, you can always put your metronome up a little bit. Like if you can nail it at 120 with me, that is awesome. And you'll be able to just go faster on your own. And maybe your band director will tell you what the goal tempo is for the final performance of this. But yeah, we're gonna do it at 120 here today. And what I'm gonna do is, I am going to do both of the repeats. I'm going to count through these measures where we have 2 measures of rest. But when we get here to 8 measures, I'm going to just stop for a second and say, okay, we're skipping ahead, and I'll count us in to start at measure 31. Because I don't feel like we really need to count 8 measures just in this practice video. But, definitely, be counting the rests in here, in these smaller ones in here. The metronome is going to be clicking along with me, so that will help you just get used to counting along with those. Then I am doing the DS, and then I'm jumping to the coda. All right. Oh, and I always put like a little timestamp in the comments so that you can jump straight to playing with the video. You don't have to wade through the first the first, 12 to 15 minutes of me talking about all the different rhythm stuff. So you'll be able to just jump straight here. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now here's where we're going to skip the 8 measures of rest, and I'm going to count us in to start at measure 31. 1, 2, ready, play. All right, so there it is. So good luck on your concert, whenever that may be, and I'll see you on the next video.